Yes, just about the 90-day review. One thing that's not clear is how is it that the U.S. intelligence officials knew about the workers in Wuhan lab, that they knew about them getting sick back in 2019, and then in February, the intelligence officials were saying that they still hadn't ruled out the possibility that the virus came from the lab. But the inquiry didn't happen until late May of this month. And I'm wondering what took the U.S. so long before it launched this.
That's not actually an accurate depiction of the timeline. The president actually asked his intelligence community to look into, to do an internal assessment, which then was presented to him in an internal meeting back in March.
Yes, but the the 90-day inquiry, the one you're describing, like the full look at this hypothesis, that was not announced publicly, and people were not aware of it until May 26th.
He didn't decide to launch it. The timeline here was, he asked the intelligence team to do an internal review, an internal assessment. When that was done several weeks ago, he asked it to be made public to declassify that information. That goes through a process, sometimes takes a couple of weeks to do. When that assessment was done, we were presented with an option for a public statement, and the president decided we wanted to do a more extensive review and tap into our lab scientists and experts, more of our national security team, to see what more we can uncover over the course of 90 days. That's the timeline.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't saying it, or maybe I was saying it too specific with the dates, but the bigger question is what took the U.S. so long to take it seriously when there were reports about the possibility of this virus coming from there,
We would completely refute that argument or notion. Obviously, the president asked his intelligence team to do an internal assessment, which happens all the time. We rarely talk about that publicly. We obviously took the step to declassify that, and that's something that he did early on in his administration. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, great. Okay.
Sorry, Nancy. I didn't mean to skip you. Go ahead.
Vaccination rates are slowing down, and with the National Month of Action, if you do not get to that 70% goal, what is your plan B, and is there concern that you have to throw in some more incentives in there?
Well, first, we're not going to prejudge our outcome here on July 4th. That's why we launched the Month of Action, and one of the reasons why we are working with every entity that can play a constructive role here. Free beer, that seems to be very appealing to the public, it seems, by headlines. Krispy Kreme donuts, getting into raffles for flights, and a range of incentives that states are implementing. Many of them did not come from us, obviously, because we recognize that at this stage, and we always knew that the rate of vaccination would slow down, because we were at a period of time, we went through a period of time where there wasn't enough supply for the demand, and then we got to a period of time where we had more supply than the demand, and that's why we launched a $3 billion effort to do local engagement, working with community leaders, clergy, other trusted voices, doctors, pediatricians. But now we're at a 1 month, it reminds me a little bit of political campaigns where you are knocking on doors, you're making phone calls, you're incentivizing, all legal, of course, ways to get people to the polls. This is how can we get more shots in arms, and we've welcomed the engagement from a range of entities in the private sector to do exactly that. I will also say, as of yesterday, about a dozen states had met their 70% or higher. And ultimately, this is going to be up to individuals to get shots in their arms. We can take every creative step we possibly can take. We also understand we don't have 100% control here, but we're going to do everything we can from the federal government to reach that goal.